Okay, so we are live, and a very warm good afternoon to all of you watching us on this Sunday, right? And it is a very, very special Sunday. Why? Because this is going to be your last Sunday before you sit for the AILET exam, which is scheduled for the next Sunday. And I have with me today a very, very special guest, right? Kunal, who happens to be from NLU Delhi, and he cleared the exam last year. So in today's session, guys, we will be talking about the AILET exam, the tips and strategies, what you should be doing in the last 1 week, right? What helped Kunal to clear the exam, right? And what you should be doing at this juncture of your preparation, right? So let me first quickly take you guys through, right? So, and in case you have not liked or like shared this, right, please do that, right? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you keep on getting these updates on various exams, and you may also join our Telegram group as well, right? So now a bit about NLU Delhi before I move to Kunal for his views, right? So we all know 150 marks, 1.5 hours, that is the key, right? You will only get 90 minutes. And that is the reason a lot of people say that this is even tougher than the CLAT exam, right? Kunal, do you agree with that, that AILET is slightly more difficult as an exam?
So I wouldn't exactly say difficult. It's more competitive because there are more um, aspirants for this examination and lesser number of seats. So in a way, yes, it's difficult, but the difficulty level of questions is actually quite similar to the CLAT examination.
But do you think that this 90 minutes, right? Because in CLAT, right, we have 120 minutes. Do you think that at times can be a very, very important factor, that within 90 minutes everything is over, right? Before you get into the groove, you get into the mood of, like, doing something, and suddenly you are told that only half an hour is left. So like, how's the pressure element?
So I think the pressure element in AILET is a bit higher because I remember my AILET examination, the exam started, and before I could even realize that I read the examination, the bell just rang, and I was just left wondering ki hua kya hai, what exactly happened. So it's actually quite a very small time period that you're given.
Right.
You have to make the best of it and adjust to the examination itself.
Okay, so right. So there will be negative marking. We all are aware of that. Number of seats, 123. Seats have increased of late, right? So that's a good thing. Subject areas: GK, current affairs, 30 marks, logical reasoning, 70 marks, and that is going to be a surprise again, that what will be there in the logical reasoning section. As we saw in the last year's exam, right? There were questions on legal aptitude as well, right? But this year we don't know, right, that what and how many questions will be there. So there is going to be that surprise element. English, including comprehension, 50 marks, and courses available. There's only one course available, that is BLLB Honors. We have been getting a lot of queries that a lot of people, in fact, Kunal, will be surprised to know that a lot of people don't write the AILET exam because they want to go for BB LLB or BCom LLB courses.
Yes.
Which I don't think is the right approach, right? That like, you should not be leaving a college like NLU Delhi just because of the reason that there are no BCom or PBLLB courses here. Your view on this, Kunal?
So I don't think it really matters which which course you're exactly going for in law, because BA LLB, BCom LLB, BBLB, at the end of the day, you're studying law, and that's your main goal.
That's I mean.
And one positive aspect about BA particularly is that law is in itself a very artistic field, and it's been related to law. Law has been related to politics, sociology, and those subjects as well. Right. So BA includes those subjects, and it helps you gain a better knowledge of the artistic and the humanity side of law.
Right. So guys, here it is, right? It is not me only now saying this. Kunal also feels the same thing, right? So in case you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask us. Right in the chat box, we'll be happy to take up your queries here. Right. So, and the exam date is 11th of December. Next Sunday is the exam, and this is what the entrance test scheme says about the exam. So there will be English language, current affairs, logical reasoning, negative marking. We have already talked about it, right? And in case there is a tie, right? So that is again important because 90 minutes, and because a lot of you will be scoring in the range of like maybe 70 to 80, और बहुत सारे ties भी होंगे, right? तो उसका भी ध्यान रखिएगा क्योंकि ऐसे एग्जाम्स में ties होना I mean natural है, right? It is a natural thing because so many people are applying, and जो पेपर का जो स्टाइल है उसके बाद हम क्लियरली बोल सकते हैं कि टाइज होना यहाँ पे नेचुरल है, तो उसका ध्यान रखिएगा। क्यों? क्योंकि अगर टाई होता है तो logical reasoning section is going to be the tiebreaker. Kunal, were you also tied with someone else on your score last
Yes,
year?
I actually was. So I got last year I got 16 rank, and the person who got rank 15, he scored just I think 1 mark more than me in the logical reason section, and I had an extra mark in current affairs section. So logical reasoning being the tiebreaker section, that gave that person a higher rank.
Right. So again, I mean, so for Kunal, it didn't matter much because both of them were happy that both of them made it to the final list. But in your case, guys, it can be crucial factor because every year, like something or the other usually happens, and like there are so many people who are wait listed as well. तो वहां पर भी जो वेट लिस्ट की जो मूवमेंट होती है वहां पर आपका जो स्कोर है वो काफी मैटर कर सकता है। सो अगेन आई मीन वी आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू कांट डू मच अबाउट इट, राइट? दैट ऐसा नहीं है कि यू हैव टू attempt more of logical reasoning. No, we are not saying that, but all we are saying is that at the back of your head you should always know that this section is going to be the tiebreaker for you. So what should be done in the next 7 days? And we will just talk about it. Kunal will share his experience as well. Firstly, I would say that don't try to revise everything. You may not, or there is no need for you to do that. For example, you need not revise what you have done under law of torts or contracts, right? But one thing you really need to revise is your general awareness, right? Current affairs. And the more you do that, right, the more confident you will be for the exam day. It is not just about the marks, it is also about the confidence, right? How and with what, what state of mind you have when you are going for your exam, right? And keep practicing, right? Because still we have a lot of time left. Last 5 days, last 6 days, maybe you can stop practicing your mocks on maybe a Friday or a Saturday, right? But before that, you should be practicing more. Kunal, how did you go about it?
So one point you raised, that confidence actually matters a lot, and your state of mind also matters. So in my case, last year, CLAT happened earlier, and AILET was 1 week after that. So I got a good score in CLAT, and AILET ke liye I was a bit relaxed. So what I did was, in the last 1 week left for AILET, I watched 2 episodes of Moon Knight and 1 or 2 movies also. So I wasn't exactly going ki I have to do everything now, sab kuch revise karna hai. I took it slow, I took it easy. I gave myself a lot of breaks, and you have to ensure that you don't burn yourself out, because that happens a lot.
Very, yeah, exactly, right. I think, and that is one of the most crucial points Kunal is trying to tell here, guys, that you have to peak at the right time, and that means that you should not have any kind of fatigue, maybe physical, mental, right? Ki aapko, you are pushing yourself to the examination center, you are pushing yourself to write the exam. That should not be the case. So do take a break, right? As Kunal is saying, मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि उतना break आप लेना, because उनके case में AILET happened after CLAT, and Kunal, was right on it as far as the preparation is concerned. So he had worked really hard before that, right? So in your case, you have to see, right, where you stand, but you will have to take breaks, right, so that you are in the right state of mind. बहुत जरूरी है ये. Work on the areas that you are lagging behind. I think abhi bhi, for example, if you feel that we are getting a lot of queries and like we are doing a lot of mentorships as well. Kunal, तो एक बहुत interesting जो चीज कुणाल सब लोगों क्या आता है कि they are giving the mocks, but the scores are not increasing, right? They are trying their best, but the scores are not increasing. What would be your suggestion, right, to people who are writing mocks, one mock every day, right? Aapke case mein, how did you deal with this? What was your approach?
So, my mock scores actually peaked, say, 2 or 3 weeks before the CLAT examination. And after that, I thought I gave a few difficult mocks. So my score remained either stable or gradually decreased. So what you have to do in that case is to analyze your mocks properly. And the last few weeks, I would keep for analysis and more of how and where you're going wrong. Because you can't repeat the same mistakes you make in the mock examinations. So last week needs to be for analysis and more about telling yourself that it's just a mock. The actual examination is just a week away. You have to gain confidence in yourself that you will be able to give the AILET examination confidently and not rely too much on mock scores.
Perfect,
Because
right?
a lot of times they also can be a bit arbitrary and they go up, they go down, and the difficulty also matters a lot.
Great, right? So, guys, difficulty matters a lot. Point number one. Point number two, scores vary, honge hi honge. Point number three, and I would also want to add one more point here. Just don't look at the overall scores. Try to see, right, which section you have been working on, right? For example, for the last 1 week, if you have been focusing on the QA section, try to see whether you are able to increase your score in that particular section or not. Try and have smaller goals for yourself. I think if you have smaller goals, in that case, it will be much easier for you, right, to see and to feel confident also, right? So rather than just think that I'm getting a score of 60 again and again, just see कि उस 60 का breakup क्या है, and you'll be amazed कि आपको हर बार कुछ अलग, कुछ नया मिलेगा if you are analyzing your mocks really well, right? Logical reasoning is the lengthiest section of the exam, lengthiest also, and I think सबसे ज़्यादा, not I think, it is like, सबसे ज़्यादा weightage भी logical reasoning का ही है. So Kunal, how did you, or what exactly did you tell yourself? For example, a lot of students have been asking us कि क्या CR नहीं आएगा AILET के exam में? We don't know, right? All these are like rumors कि ऐसा हो सकता है या वैसा हो सकता है. So again, I seriously feel कि there is no rule कि अगर last 2 साल के एग्जाम में CR कम आया था तो इस साल भी वो कम होगा. We don't have that, और इतना डेटा भी नहीं हमारे पास. But how did you time your logical reasoning section, right? Did you do it in one go, or you took breaks, and like, what was your approach for this particular section, LR?
So the LR section I did in one go, and I did it at the end, because in the last section, that's the LR section, you need to think more and you need to apply yourself properly. So what my strategy was, the English and the general awareness section, they're more about reading, getting to the right answer, which may come by memory or which may come by your own aptitude, and the GK section will obviously come by memory. The last LR section needs to have more application of your analysis and solving skills as well. So that I left at the end ताकि उसमें ज़्यादा solve हो पाए. I am able to give more time to that. So that's my particular strategy.
And how much time did you give to the LR section? How much?
So I believe I gave roughly 35, 40 minutes.
35, 40
so I believe
minutes?
That's a healthy amount of time.
Right. Okay, so guys, 35 to 40 minutes. Again, you may have your own approach, whatever has been working for you. You may have a look at that. But that is what Kunal, tried. 35 to 40 minutes, attempting the LR section last. Kunal, and within the section also, like, did you go like question wise, or you wanted to see like, for example, someone like me, right, who would want to solve a bit of logic and then, you know, go to legal reasoning and then come back to logic? Were you like doing that, or you just went like question wise at question number 51, 52, 53? Like, how's your
Yes, sir.
approach for that?
So I went by the second approach that you mentioned. I started with the analytical reasoning part, where syllogisms and patterns were there. So I solved those first. Then I moved on to the legal section. And then lastly, I did the CR section because, I mean, that's the general pattern I followed during all my mocks, and that yielded good results. So that's the pattern I followed.
So guys, in short, हम आपको यहाँ पे क्या बता रहे हैं कि within the logical reasoning section, एक section के अंदर, because the section is so big, right? So large, right? So वहाँ पर भी you can do multiple things, right? आप कुछ चीजें अलग से कर सकते हैं. You need not go question wise, right? And और आप उनको अलग से भी, right? For example, if you want to take a break after AR or say after CR, you may solve legal reasoning questions first, or you may leave them for the last. Kunal, one more thing I would want to ask you here is, how did you mark the OMR? Because 90 minutes, right? And
Yes,
last 3-4 days, imagine like, you know, marking the OMR also in itself is a task, because 90 minutes में आपको सब कुछ करने का है. So what was your approach for that? And I believe a lot of students would be asking this, right? तो मैंने आपसे पहले ही पूछ लिया कि what was your approach for marking the OMR?
So everyone has their own individual way of marking the OMR.
Right.
One person I noticed in the AILET examination, like just 5 minutes before the examination was over, his entire OMR sheet was blank, and he filled the entire sheet in 2 or 3 minutes. So you can do that as well. What my pattern was, I would fill it by 5 questions each. So I formed sets of 5 questions and then I fill them in.
But Kunal, I mean, again, so our idea is to tell students, right, about various approaches, but I don't think that is the right approach to fill up the OMR in the last 5 minutes. Guys, imagine the kind of panic, right? कितना panic आप कर सकते हैं. And imagine अगर आपने एक भी उनमें से एक भी सवाल को अगर आपने गलत मार्क किया, तो आपके बाकी सारे जो क्वेश्चंस हैं वो शायद गलत मार्क हो सकते हैं. So I don't think you should go for that approach. What Kunal is saying, I think Kunal वाला approach आप लोगों के लिए भी शायद ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा. Maybe if you don't want to do that after every 5 questions, maybe you can do it after 8 or 10 questions. That's on you. But don't leave the OMR sheet for the last 5 minutes, right? Don't do that. That is, I think पूरा exam आपका खराब हो सकता है in the last 5 or 7 minutes, and we would not want to do that, right? पूरा exam ठीक से किया और last के 5-10 minutes when it was about filling up the OMR, we made a mess of it, right? So don't do that. So in case, guys, you have any questions, please share in the chat box as well, right? So how did you okay, so we already have few questions here, Kunal. Pratiksha is asking, how did you cover GA and the CA section? That's the first question. How did you?
So for AILET specifically?
Yeah, for AILET specifically.
Okay, so in CLAT you have like different sets of questions that you're given. So one would be related to, say, the Ukraine war, or one may be related to, say, Bharat bond. But in AILET, you get more of appointments of different people, and you need to recognize how the AILET examination GA section is different from the CLAT examination GA section. So with that, you need to revise, and the last week needs to be only about revision. Jitna pehle pad liya, it's fine. Keep reading the newspapers, keep reading new information. Something new might come up, which might be very, very important in the examination. But last week, just revise everything that you've done till now. That includes compendiums and the questionnaires that were given to you.
Right. So questionnaires, compendium, your mocks also, right? Revise your mocks as well. Revise the GA mock, the GA section from all your mocks, right? And Pratiksha, revise well. And as Kunal very, very nicely said, appointments, right? Awards, right? Make a separate sheet for that and keep on revising, because we have seen that, right? There are a lot of appointments और जो भी awards के बारे में बात होती है, तो काफी बार ये आपको स्पेसिफिकली AILET एग्जाम में काफी ज्यादा देखने को मिलता है. मुस्कान, yes, legal reasoning section is included, but it is included within the logical reasoning section. उसका क्या breakup होगा, we are not sure of that. Sir, I feel the pattern of AILET exam is more comfortable than CLAT, but I don't know how to complete the current affairs section usually, since that is the weakest. Archana, I mean, if you feel it is more comfortable, right, that is very, very good. And I think Kunal just told you, right, about the GA part कि आपको कैसे करना है, right. Archana is now asking, so should we mark the answers in VA and GA section when we are not 100% sure? VA, कुणाल, VA में बहुत सारे ये लोगों को डाउट होता है कि when to leave.
So the pattern I followed was कि if question 5 and there are 4 options, A, B, C, and D, and I know that the answer might be A or C, but I'm leaning more towards A, then I would say it's safe bet to mark A. If you have 3 options you're confused in, then I would say that don't mark that question. Just wait, come back to that question later, think more on it, and then mark. And in GA as well, you need to, it's all about memory in the GK section. So you need to see what your brain tells you and what your instinct tells you is.
It can be instinctive, Archana, as well. So if you're not 100% sure, but if you're able to eliminate 2 options, then we are saying that then you should go with, like, what the instinctive answer is. तो जो आपको A feel हो रहा है A और B में से, अगर आपने eliminate कर लिया है C and D को, but अगर आपको कोई idea नहीं है C and D के बारे में भी, then that is not the right approach. वो आपको फिर शायद mark नहीं करना चाहिए है, वो उसको आपको छोड़ देना चाहिए, right? So skills required, again, accuracy, as we are talking about that, because बहुत तेज एग्जाम होगा तो accuracy पे फोकस आपका होना चाहिए है. Interpretation अच्छे होने चाहिए है, and interpretation skills. Siddhi is asking, Kunal, what was your average score in mocks?
So the thing is, I gave roughly 9 or 10 mocks in AILET, and my score gradually improved from 60 to 100, 110. That's the final score I got in an AILET mock.
So guys,
but that's not actually what matters, because I scored 99 in the AILET examination. So marks kam bhi aa rahe hain. So don't think your skill level has gone down. It might be the difficulty level of the examination as well.
Right, it could be because of the difficulty level. That's a very, very pertinent point. And also, maybe in your case, guys, your best score could be in the final exam. ये भी हो सकता है, right? So there is still, 1 week for AILET, 2 weeks for CLAT, right? So that's what Kunal is trying to tell you, right? That you need to have that confidence. As, like, he said his score also increased from 60, 55, 60 to a score of 100, right? So यही आपको करते रहना है. You have to keep building on, what you have been doing, right? And try and attempt more. Okay, so that's the next question as well. Sukriti is asking, Kunal, how to increase your attempts? Anything you in particular try to do so that you can increase your overall attempts?
So the thing you need to keep in mind is you don't give too much time to a question, because again the difficulty level of that question might be extremely high and you think it's not, but it actually happens a lot. So give, I'd say, 60, 70 seconds to a question. If you can't solve it, then maybe move on and solve the next set of questions.
And maybe
so that's
then
one technique you can use to increase your attempts. That's what I did in particular.
And Sukriti, so yeah, I mean, what you can do is even if you feel that you know this, right? What Kunal is trying to say here is that you have to prepare your mind, right? That within 70 seconds, if I don't attempt it, I move on to the next question. आपको अगर आगे भी कुछ ऐसा इशू आता है तो there is always the option of going back to that question again, right? There is always that option, but आपको you should be in the habit of reading the question within 60 to 70 seconds and moving on, right? So that you can see the entire paper, right? How many mocks should we give per day? Kunal, for the last 1 week, and again, because in your case AILET was after CLAT, so
Yes,
I think your answer should be with respect to the CLAT exam, because I think आपका CLAT exam पहले था,
yes,
but
sir.
in the last 1 or 2 weeks, how many mocks do you think are appropriate?
Sir, I personally gave 2 or 3 mocks just 1 week before the examination. That stands true for both CLAT and AILET. So you can take that approach as well, and try not to give 1 mock a day, because again it will burn you out.
It will burn you out. So that is the approach which Kunal used. Kunal had right, but again, this approach may be like it might differ from your approach, guys. Why? Because Kunal was giving mocks very regularly. So Kunal, before the last week, right, how many mocks you had appeared in, how many mocks you had given in all, like overall mocks? What was the number of overall mocks for you?
So in CLAT and AILET both.
Yeah.
So roughly 60 to 65 mocks I gave for CLAT and AILET both.
Right. So guys, यहाँ पर ये भी समझना जरूरी है कि Kunal was not trying to give 1 mock every day. Why? Because he had already given 50, 60, 70 mocks. Right. So you have to see now, right, where do you stand? Archana, you don't have, so Archana say, I don't have much confidence, and it feels like burden right now. Archana, obviously it feels like that. Right, हमेशा यही feel होता है, सबको यही feel होता है. Archana, you are not the only one that why do we have to go through all of this? But I think if you keep going, Archana, maybe next year we will be interviewing you, right? Me and Kunal will be on the other side, and we will ask you questions, right? That how did you do it, right? But Archana, you have to keep going, right? Kunal, in your case, what made you keep going for your dream, for your goal, right? What really helped, right? क्योंकि I'm sure ऐसे phases आपके साथ भी आए होंगे, right? कि जब आपको feel हो रहा होगा कि why do I have to do this? Why isn't there any other option? So what did you tell yourself? What did you tell yourself to push ahead?
So in my case, I get feeling that this examination, it stands for nothing. मतलब इसका कोई purpose नहीं है. It's very arbitrary कैसे बना दिया है, and just supposed to solve it in 90 minutes, in 120 minutes. But what you have to remind yourself is कि the end result of that examination and what your personal growth after you give the examination, after you admit into that college, is going to be exponential. And it has been in my case.
Has been in your case,
I
right?
can
Like
personally attest to this, that you'll grow a lot during even 3 months of your college. So I mostly relied on personal development, and that was my motivation for this exam.
right. So Archana, you have to find your call, right? कि वो क्या है आपका, right? For Kunal, it was the college, it was the personal development. He's saying 3 months. Imagine, right? So he's in the first year, and अभी exams like नहीं हुए, right? So you're still appearing for the first year exams, right? If I'm correct,
Yes, sir.
Kunal, right?
So our college has mid-semester examinations as well. Those happened in October. I am currently preparing for the end term examinations.
Income examinations, right? And imagine that he's already saying it, that he can feel, right, the difference, and he can clearly tell you that it is worth, going through this, right? So Archana, I hope you get the answer. Sir, कुछ questions ऐसे होते हैं कि you are sure you give 2 minutes to this particular question, it will be correct. What do you do in that case, Kunal, when you know that you will be able to solve it in 2 minutes? I think that's a lot of time. But yeah, your views.
So if you're sure that you'll solve this question in 2 minutes, then maybe try figuring the strategy out for that question pehle, then come back to that question and solve it later if you have time left.
Have time.
Because again, the
Excellent.
possibility of that question being wrong if you try to solve it too quickly is very real.
It's very real. So Sukriti, again, it is more of a psychological test, right? And we totally understand what you guys are going through, है ना? लेकिन ये आपको देखना होगा, क्योंकि 2 मिनट अगर आपको लग रहा है ना यार अभी तक, like so हमको बहुत बार, और ट्रस्ट मी, ये जो हमारा लगना वाला होता है ना, ये एग्जाम डे पे बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा, बिकॉज यू आर सो एंशियस. तो आपकी जो सारे जो अभी तक जो whatever was working for you during the mocks, right? तो वो कहीं ना कहीं पे वो वहां पर भी कुछ ऊपर नीचे होगा, right? So keep that thing also in mind that 2-3 minutes for one question, definitely not, especially जब बहुत सारे questions आपको और solve करने हैं, which takes us to the first point here, that attempt direct questions first, right? तो आप direct questions को जो आपको दिख रहे हैं, right, पहले ही आप उनको पहले attempt कर side पे रख लीजिए, right? So that जहां पे आपको feel हो रहा है कि कुछ एक चीजें जहां पर complicated है, for example 1 minute you want to give, 2 minutes you want to give, but that should be towards the later part of the exam. पहला आपका आइडिया ये होना चाहिए कि जो भी डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस हैं आप फटाफट से उनको करते रहें, right? So वो बहुत बहुत important होगा, right? And analyze the level of questions as well. That is also very important. There will be moderate, difficult, right? So आपको ये भी देखना होगा कि क्या level of questions है, and you should also try and see कि overall level exam का क्या है, right? कि जरूरी नहीं है that in every exam cutoff is going to be 83 or 90 or 100. We don't know that, right? So you will have to analyze कि paper का level भी आपको paper के दौरान देखना होगा कि कितना सही है. Kunal, your views on this?
Yes, sir, it's actually quite true कि पता चल जाता है how difficult the exam is, because last to last year I saw that the merit list of the AILET exam, the cutoff score was around 100, and this year in the 2022 exam it was somewhere around 89, 88.
The first list, right? I
So
think
yeah,
the last candidate.
no sir, I think even in the last list, the final entrance to the university was scored around 88, 87. And in the previous year, it was somewhere around 99 and 200. So it varies a lot with the different difficulty levels and years as well.
Right. So guys, that's the thing you have to remember कि लेवल बहुत ऊपर नीचे होता है, एंड स्पेशली एलेट में ये बहुत बार हमने देखा है कि कट ऑफ्स बहुत ज्यादा चेंज होती हैं. सो कीप इन माइंड दैट पार्ट एज वेल. आई हैव ऑलरेडी गिवन ऑल एलेट मॉक्स, देन और मॉक्स कहाँ से प्रैक्टिस करें. सुप्रीत, अगर आपने एलेट कर लिया है, आई वुड से देन कीप अटेम्प्टिंग योर क्लैट मॉक्स एज वेल, राइट? क्योंकि वहां पे जो अटेम्प्ट है, जो आपका स्पीड का इशू है, जो आपका रीडिंग का इशू है, वो वहां से आपको मिलता रहेगा. एंड यू शुड स्टार्ट रिवाइजिंग अ लॉट of these things, as Kunal was saying, right? कि आपने के जो awards हैं, जो appointments हैं, तो जो current affairs section है अलग से, right? जो थोड़ा अलग होता है CLAT से, maybe you should focus more on that, right? Guys, any other queries you have, please feel free. We'll take more, right? So tips में क्या important है? Read the questions carefully, right? Even the legal reasoning section, I would say, थोड़ा हटके होता है, काफी interesting होता है. There is a lot of reading required, and the reading, I mean, required in the sense that there is a lot of focus on law of contracts, या जो agreements के ऊपर जो language है, right? It is more, from those agreements or from arbitration laws, right? तो कुछ ऐसा आपको देखने को मिलेगा which will be very very tricky. So read the questions carefully. Attempts को अपना देखते रहिएगा कि कितना आपको overall attempt. Kunal, what was your idea when you went for the exam? क्या आपके ज़हन में कुछ था कि that's the bare minimum attempt I will go for?
Yes, I had a rough idea कि I have to attend more than 120 questions. So my final attempt was 123, 124 questions. So it's better to have a rough idea of how many questions you will be attempting, so you prepare yourself in the exam also that way. And that's also how you solve like a limited number of questions to improve to maintain your accuracy.
That is also very, very important. Is prior knowledge of law required for a large section? I think something happened.
So that at my end.
I think so. Is it fine?
Yeah, sir, it's much better now. आपका वीडियो पहले पॉज हो गया था.
Okay. Rohit. Okay. Right. So so I was asking you, Kunal, someone had asked us that is prior knowledge of law required for the AILET?
So I wouldn't say it's required. Even the AILET and CLAT, the examiners also say that it's not required beforehand. But obviously, it's much better to have the knowledge, and you basically know what that section talks about and how to apply it in that context. So by way of solving mocks, I guess your accuracy also in the examination improves.
Perfect, right? So guys, have a certain strategy to fill up the OMR sheets, as we have already talked about it, right? Don't try to attempt the OMR sheets at the last. Make sure you read the instruction of the questions carefully. बहुत बार उन instructions में भी बहुत कुछ catch होता है. So please do that. And we have already talked about the point that you have to take complete rest before the exam so that you are in the right frame of mind. Kunal Dhruv is asking, I'm not good at vocab, and in BA section it is all about vocab, I think. So what should we do in the last week or so for vocab?
Okay, so the first thing is that VA section in AILET is not exactly about vocabulary. It's a part of the VA section, but not the entire VA section. It doesn't even form a major part of the VA section. So for vocabulary, I didn't do anything extra. I referred to a book called Word Power Made Easy. So tried doing it for a week, for a month, and actually just gave it up. So after that, what I did was I would read the newspapers, highlight the important words and the words that are repeated, and the words that I don't know exactly. So that's the approach I took to improve upon my vocabulary.
But in the last 1 week, so he's asking that in the last 1 week for VA, yes, anything you would want to say for that in the last 1 week?
So vocabulary.
For vocabulary, yeah.
So I believe the examinations, they repeat certain words and their meanings every year after year. So you can look at those, analyze the previous year papers, and just try improving upon your vocabulary, because again, there's not much time left. So what now you can do now is focus on slightly improving your vocabulary, and again, revision of the things you've done before.
Of the things done before. And look, in short, what we are trying to tell you here is कि ज़्यादा एक ही चीज के लिए अगर आप फोकस करना की कोशिश करेंगे, it will not help you. अगर आपको ये फील हो रहा है कि in the last 1 week you can do something substantially different for your vocab, the answer is no, right? So you have to have that confidence, as Kunal is saying, कि पूरा section it is not at all about vocab. That is point number 1. You need to understand कि vocab के अलावा बहुत कुछ है उस section में. You can still get a very good score in that particular section, right? That is point number 1. And point number 2, that if you are focusing too much time, or you're paying too much time on one particular thing, then आपका जो बाकी का जो revision है, जो practice आपका अभी होना चाहिए, वो शायद उतने अच्छे से नहीं हो पाएगा, right? So
also I'd like to add something for the vocabulary section, is that etymology also makes a huge difference in vocabulary. So if there's a word that starts with, say, pro, so it will imply a positive connotation or something that stands for something.
Right.
So that's one thing you can look at, and there are a lot of exercises given by Pratham as well for etymology. So just go through them.
So that's a great tip, right, for you, because last 1 week में ये आप शायद अच्छे से आप कर सकते हैं कि rather than understanding or learning new words, lot of new words, you start focusing on the root, right? Root, as Kunal is saying, कि आप अगर root को समझते हैं तो maybe आपके पास अगर ऐसा कुछ 100 roots ही हैं तो उसकी वजह से भी आपको बहुत सारे words का idea हो जाएगा, right? So I think that is what you should be doing. These are the things, guys, what we wanted to talk about. In case you have more queries, please type in the group so that वो मैं कुणाल से और भी आपकी queries पूछ सकूं, but I think more or less हमने सब बात किया कि what should be done in the last 1 week. Kunal, anything specific for LA? For LA, anything specific you would want to do?
So I didn't do anything specific for LA section last year. I just revised the mocks. So particularly where I was going wrong in the LA section, because in LA section, there's one thing that always makes you solve the question in the wrong sense, in the wrong way. So you need to analyze what exactly your problem with the LA section is. कोई ऐसा word that makes you think in a completely different sense and makes your question wrong, makes your answer wrong. So analyze your weakness and try working upon that in the last 1 week.
And maybe you can also, guys, you can solve your LA section again from the mocks, right? Try and see कि जो आपने LA section जो already mocks में किया था, जो solve किया हुआ है आपने, what errors you made there, right? What errors you made there. If you can just have a relook at your errors, I think वो भी आपको बहुत help करेगा. Clearly revising the like whole course is not at all required, right? We've been saying this again and again. I think उससे ज़्यादा आपका focus होना चाहिए on understanding your mistakes, your errors, right? So we have talked about LA, we have talked about GK, we have talked about VA. Kunal, what about QA, right? I mean, there is no QA also, but there is a good chance that there could be QA as well, right? So how do you deal with
section, yeah.
Right? So how do you deal with that uncertainty?
Sir, what I did was CLAT QA, just go through CLAT QA once. AILET QA might be slightly different than the CLAT QA section in that it has certain topics that cannot be included in data interpretation.
Right.
So go through them once, look at the formulas, try solving a few direct and maybe more to indirect questions and more difficult questions. But don't stress too much about QA because again, they haven't said QA. So, I mean, I assume that it won't be asked in the examination, but there's a high probability that it might be asked in the in the examination. So just go through the concepts once. You've already prepared for QA section earlier. So you need to revise your concepts in QA.
Perfect, right? So that's the strategy. Guys, any more questions we have here for Kunal or for me? Anything else you want to know? Let's just wait for 2 more minutes and maybe then we can wrap it up. In case people don't have more questions, we can wrap it up. Okay, so guys, I think no more queries. So we will stop here. So thank you for being here. Right. Thank you so much for taking out time, and I hope it was helpful. I hope कि आपको ये समझ में आया कि क्या आपको नहीं करना है in the last 1 week. I'm sure आपको बहुत सारा कुछ और पता है क्या करना है आपको in the one last week, but I think क्या नहीं करना है वो भी बहुत important है. And इसके साथ साथ please ensure that you take regular breaks, right? आप अपनी regular breaks ले रहे हैं, right? And you are in the right state of mind, right frame of mind. आपको वो बहुत बहुत important है आपके लिए that when you are going for the exam, right? You are in that right state of mind. Thank you so much, Kunal, for helping us with this, right? And we will hopefully meet again, maybe for another session very soon. Thank you, everyone.